Welcome back to the BK Nothing But Nets podcast. We got the trifecta. We got everyone in place. We got Dylan, Nets Press. We got John, everything BK Nets, John, and we have a Nets Bulls game. A game I originally thought was going to be a tank off special, but it seems like the Bulls just suck the least at tanking, and the Bulls are going to get this less playing spot. I guess they're just playing to win now. I guess they've accepted their fate that they're going to be in that play-in. So the game has a little less urgency on it, although I'm still pretty certain the Nets will lose because they're not playing for anything, and the Bulls are. The Bulls are playing better to a degree. So, guys, when I originally scheduled this, I thought this was going to be like, what do we do? Do you guys want to try to get in the play-in, or do you want to tank? That decision has been made for us. Obviously, we're tanking. Guys, go around. Let me know what you guys think of this game, and is this game still an absolute must-lose game for the Nets?
Must lose. Every game is practically must lose. If you're playing for a pick, you are currently in a position where you must lose. You have expended every possible avenue that they've taken. There's no reason to win games anymore. You're tied with Philly. The best thing that you can do as a team who is in the same conference as Philly is to make sure that they get put in a position to where they have the least likely chance of staying at the pick that they're projected at, right? So, for example, we're at 5. We have a 2% chance of getting the 5th pick, but we have a combined 55% chance of landing 6 through 8 and a combined 40% chance to land 1 through 5. So that's the same thing if you're Philly at number 6. Their least odds of them getting a pick will be 6. They have more of a chance at landing 7 or 8, and if that's the case, it goes to OKC. So, to me, from here on out, you're competing with Philly. Lose every game. You've proven enough.
I kind of agree with, look, I agree with I don't kind of agree with them. I was not the biggest supporter of the tank, although I thought it might be the best move on the chessboard. The Nets are horrible. None of these guys are even going to be on the team 2 years from now, outside of maybe a couple of guys, right? There's really no building pieces on this team except for maybe Cam Thomas, who the organization doesn't seem to like and probably won't be here beyond next year. And I honestly believe that. So I was like, all right. I mean, look, if no one's going to be here, why bother winning? What's the point? Chicago sucked more at tanking than we did. So Chicago is going to get the playing spot. What's the point of winning this game or any more games this year, especially this one? John, your thoughts on that? Like originally when I had the schedule, I wanted to do this. I wanted to get into what's the best option here, but it's been made for us. We're not making the play-in, and we can debate whether or not that's good or bad, but we're not. The Bulls are. Any point at all in trying to win this game or any game moving forward?
Listen, like I said, Operation, and good to talk basketball, you guys. Listen, I said Operation Damage Control was our last chance to save our lottery pick. Getting that play-in was going to do nothing for us. We were half a game out of being where the Bulls are right now. And like you said, the Bulls started the rebuild like 2 months ago. So they're way behind the 8 ball, and they kind of would have been out of that play-in if Philly didn't suck as bad as they have. But considering Philly sucked as bad, the Bulls, who finally started rebuild, now have to be that one team to hang out on a hook and be in that play-in again. So it works for us. It gives us way better odds than they do to get at least a top 6 pick in this draft. So I'm glad that we've gotten away from that. The thing about tonight, though, is Josh Giddey, who was playing decent lately, pretty good. He has a foot injury, so he's going to be out. So if D'Lo and Thomas are playing, they're going to have a playmaking scoring edge over the Bulls. So it could go either way tonight. The playmaking aspect that we have could be enough to beat a team like them, or they have a lot of young talent that could beat our talent. So it could go either way tonight. But like Dylan says, I'm not concerned about the wins. I'm concerned about player development, looking at guys like Zaire, Clowney, Thomas, how they're progressing on their playmaking, defense, rebounding. You've seen playmaking with Thomas lately. Clowney had 2 good games. He's not playing tonight because of his ankle injury, so he's going to be out. So I'm just kind of evaluating the players in this team to see who fits the roles right now. There's some guys that clearly could fit on this team next year, and then some guys that I'm ready to move off them if we could draft well this year. So I'm just evaluating the talent at this point. So if we win tonight,
bring up, how is Josh Giddey not in jail? How did that? What happened there? Like, why is he free, man? Dylan,
I'm pretty sure they stated that it was a consensual relationship at the time, and that
you can't have consensual sex with a 15-year-old.
No, I think she was 16.
Listen,
that
he's the
legal?
the
Yeah,
giggler, and that's all I
16
got to
is
say about
federally
that.
legal in
He's
certain states. Yeah,
Okay.
16's age of consent. So there's your legal age, which is of course 18, but there's age of consent, which in some states could be 15, 16, or 17. It just depends on the state. So it's a weird concept, but supposedly it was worked out in court, and they proved that it was a consensual thing, and that she lied about her age or something like that. It was something weird.
Okay. I don't want to beat that up too much. I just every time I see him, I just wonder. As a father, I don't understand how she's not. How he's. I have a daughter. I have a young girl, and I look at. Okay, how is he not in jail? But all right.
Yeah.
man.
Here, I'll look it up because do you guys remember where was it? Florida that it happened?
It was Oklahoma, wasn't it?
I thought it was Florida. Somebody look this
Originally,
up for
I
us
thought it
real
was
quick.
in Australia, and they just had weird rules. They're like, no, that was here. It was in Oklahoma. I don't remember. I thought it was in Oklahoma, but
I'm gonna look up both age of consent in Florida. Let's see. The state. All right, these are the states that the age of 16 is the age of consent. Alabama, Alaska,
Pete's
Arkansas.
got the info. I'm gonna.
Oh, here we
I
go.
just sent Pete a link.
Oh, there we go. I was gonna say Oklahoma, New Jersey, North Carolina, there's 31 states where the age of consent is 16.
And she was 16. It was originally reported she was 15. All right, and she was 16.
Yeah, the age of consent in Florida is 18. So yeah, maybe it did happen in Oklahoma.
I think it was Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she bragged
Because it's
about
also an incident. Didn't the incident happen when he was 19?
19. Yeah, I want to say he was. Look, I understand. You're an NBA player. Why are you going?
Because they met at
What is up with that?
they met at a 18 plus nightclub, from my knowledge.
Okay.
So either way, she lied about her age.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
that's from my understanding. Pete said he's got the info. Let's see if I'm accurate or not.
I got him. Pete's here.
What up? What up?
Pete.
What's up?
Hey,
What's
hey,
going
Mr.
on?
Director.
So talking about Giddy, I know a police officer, and I thought he was in California. I could be, I'm pretty sure.
I'm
it was
gonna
in
look it up while you're
California,
looking at it.
wasn't it?
I'm gonna look it up real quick because now I'm
pretty sure it was in California
invested.
because that's where my connection is, and basically got swept under the rug. He's like, honestly, that guy is a scumbag, and in any other situation, if he was not an NBA player, he'd probably be in jail.
That's fair enough.
Like dead ass.
That's fair.
Let's see. Newport
crazy,
Beach,
right?
California police.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it
So it
is.
was
Like,
California.
It was
see.
California. Okay.
All right. And wait,
What's
let
the-
me see if the age of consent there is 16. Cali.
They went
age.
to a party or something like that, and supposedly he didn't know her age, but I think he
Yeah, the legal
actually
age of
knew.
consent in Cali is 18.
Yeah,
But that's the thing, right?
he's a
Didn't they meet in an
scumbag.
18 plus nightclub? Like it
I
was
have
like
no
it was
idea.
like one
I
of those
thought it
like
was a
teen
house
bars.
party. I could be wrong. I don't remember that detail. But he's like, yo, honestly, Pete, the guy should be in jail. If he was not an NBA player, he would probably be in jail.
What if he legitimately didn't know? What if Pete
I-
has he was 19? What if they met at a nightclub where she lied about her age? Like I'm not trying to defend him. I'm a father of a young girl. I'm not trying to defend him at all. I'm just asking. Like, look, a 16-year-old girl, we were all at that age, could easily look 18 or 19. Girls at that age are not like guys where a 16-year-old guy, looks like a 16-year-old guy. She could be dressed up. She could have everything. You know what I'm saying? Like she could look like 18. If she's at an 18-year-old nightclub, how would he know?
I think it was a house party.
Yeah,
I
why is he
could
going
be
I'm
house
trying to
party?
look up articles now
I
to
think
find
it was
out
a house
exactly where it
party.
was.
But
Yeah.
supposedly, the evidence didn't look good. The evidence
It
did not
looked
look
really
good for
bad
him.
for him, and that's why I'm wondering why he wasn't in jail.
I think it's because he plays for he plays in the NBA and he could get pretty good lawyers.
That's
Yeah.
wild. That's wild. That's why he's known as the Giddler now, and I just hope nobody gives him any money after the season. But the Bulls might be forced to pay him. So have fun with that controversy, Bulls.
Yeah, my concern is why is my starting point guard going to high school house parties? Why is he doing that? That's a concern.
I don't know. I don't know if it was a high school house party that he's like, oh, I'm the oldest guy here. I think it was a party, and then she was there. You know what I mean?
What's even more wild is OKC turned that
Here it
into
is.
Alex Caruso. Like
Here it
OKC,
is. New York
man.
Post. Giddy alleged encounter with an underage girl happened 2 years ago, and they spent a night together. Giddy at the time was 19 years old. Believed she was also 19 when they met in a nightclub. So yeah,
There
when
you
you
go.
when you use a fake ID to get into somewhere, you're gonna expect the person to at least be 18.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, as a professional, should you just stick it in to anybody that breathes? No, you should probably be like, "Hey, can I see your ID, like your real one?" You know.
Oh man, that's
But
the one.
that's why I'm saying though, at
Derek
19 years
Jeter,
old,
Derek Jeter used to ID and keep security at the door just in case they cried about anything afterwards, like he did. That's
yeah.
true.
I was gonna say he used to have
it's not
women
like
sign
a
it.
pro.
He used
He's
to
got
have women
security at
sign
the door. You
NDAs.
have to agree to sign in. Give
Yeah,
him your
yeah,
ID.
he had women sign NDAs to have sex with him.
Yeah. And then he gave him a bag of memorabilia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
was like a
That's
signed
true
ball or
story.
something.
A friend of mine
He's
used
a,
to work
he's a
with,
demon.
his cousin slept with Derek Jeter, and they told
That's
me the whole
crazy.
story.
Here's my baseball bat. Thanks for a fun night. Like that's crazy. That's
Here's a
crazy.
You
signed
guys
glove.
remember they had this thing? I think it was maybe Sports Illustrated. They put girls on each like position on the baseball diamond. It was all different girls that he
The
supposedly
Jeter,
slept with.
yeah. Oh my God, he's got a roster.
Yeah,
He's
he
got a,
does. Derek Jeter's been with a
he's
lot
got
of
a
women,
bench
man.
unit.
Yes.
He's got a bench unit in baseball. It's a 45-man roster in baseball. He's probably at like 30, 35 in terms of celebrities.
What are we talking about?
He's up there, man. But no,
I
that's
just
what I'm saying. With Giddy
remember the
being
story
19
of him
and
going out with Tom Brady, right? And they were like they were like clubbing buddies. Imagine you're at the bar hitting on a chick, and then Derek Jeter and Tom Brady walk in. Just go home.
You leave.
Just go home. Yeah.
yeah.
Just go home.
What shot?
You ask, no,
I'm
no.
walking
You
the
ask.
chick.
You ask for a
Brady
picture,
and
then
Jeter
leave.
walk in. I'm done.
You asked for a picture, then please.
Ask for a picture, then leave.
Hey, can you sign my hat with this random pen I found at the bar? It's just like a.
Can I have a lock of your hair for memorabilia?
I was gonna say though,
Like
realistically, with
crazy.
Giddy thing at 19 years old, if you meet a girl in a nightclub, you're gonna assume that they're 18. Is it smart to do it? No, because as a professional athlete, you should know that you always have a target on your back in terms of people trying to get money out of you. But there's also the other side of it where he may have done something with her and then later on found out her age and was kind of just like, well, it already happened, so what's going to happen now? You know? So either way, it's a shitty position, but if he met her at a nightclub, you're going to assume the person's 18. You don't get into a nightclub unless you're
I
18.
think there was stuff after that. It just wasn't a one-time thing, though.
Yeah, no,
That's what-
they supposedly hung out multiple times afterwards.
But you didn't think anything of it when you went to pick her up from school? Like, oh, she's
Yeah.
probably 18.
Yeah. Oh my.
She's got the little backpack on. That's horrible.
How don't you get her real age if you were seeing her multiple times? Like it's such a stupid thing to do.
I mean, at the
how
same
weak
time,
you
though,
are.
He didn't know. I don't know.
I was gonna say though, at the same time too, women lie. Like
Everybody.
women lie to get things, and there's also
Yeah,
people who
I
are
always
openly.
wondered that too. Like when I was a senior, not a senior high school, but a freshman in college. I had a girlfriend for 2 years, right? So my senior year of high school and my first year of college, I was dating the same girl who was a year younger than me. So
Mhm.
technically, I was 18 of age and she was 17.
Yeah.
Is that illegal?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I'm asking. Like,
If she was 16, but no,
Yeah,
if she's
but no,
17,
no. The thing is,
you're right
is if you were dating before you were the age of 18, and you guys are continuing dating once you turn 18, and she's still younger than the age of consent, it's not illegal. Like if a sophomore who's 15 turning 16 is dating a senior who's 17 turning 18, right? They started dating at 17 and 15. That's considerably not illegal because they were dating. It was consensual.
Okay.
It's strange how it works because it
Yeah.
only works until you're 18. But then when you get into the real world, you can be Leonardo DiCaprio at the age of fucking 50 banging 20-year-olds. And it's like, oh, he's got no problem because they're 18. It's weird. Like,
Yeah, it definitely is.
you know, it's such a strange gap because you could be 2 years difference. But if you're 19 and 17 and you meet her at 17, it's kind of like, oh, you're a pedophile. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I never understood this. Right, like 18's a little young, but like Bill Belichick is 70 and dating a 24-year-old. Yeah, 24 is a good age to date. Like, who wants to date a 60-year-old chick?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be demeaning, but if you're 70 on top of the world, you're the greatest football coach of all time. Why would you date a 60-year-old? Wouldn't you want to date a 24-year-old?
But that's my point. If that's not looked at as like you're a pedophile, you know, like that person,
Yeah.
that could genuinely be his grandchild. Like,
Oh my gosh.
that's fucked up.
Oh, that
Like-
is yikes.
That's why I'm saying I think did he probably do some dirty shit? Probably. But did he meet her at a nightclub and probably assumed age? Probably. So that's probably why I got swept under.
I want to move this to Pete. Pete, do a little plug. Tell them what you got going on, where they can find you. I know you got something big going on.
Yeah, you can follow me at NetFins, on Twitter and YouTube. I just dropped an episode today with Greg Haringa. He used to be a Nets beat reporter for like I think 7 years, 8 years for the Record out in New Jersey. And I think what you're alluding to is that I went to Charlotte to catch the Nets for a road game. I'm kind of doing a little bit of a documentary that's coming out soon. I talked to a couple players. Just it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing. I documented the whole trip. You'll see me talking to players. You'll see me at the game. They put me on TV. They randomly put me on TV at the most important part of the game, and I kind of made that into a little bit of a meme. And yeah, all that good stuff. It's gonna come out soon.
Get that Emmy.
I was
Pete's
in
gonna bring him an
Charlotte.
Emmy.
I was in Charlotte a couple of hours before that game. I was thinking of going to it, but I had to bring my girl back for a flight.
Should have went to it. You could have been part of the documentary, Dylan.
Dude, I was not trying to go to a game by myself. I didn't, because last time I went with my pops for my birthday, and Scoop was there, so there was like people to interact with and stuff. I had no clue anybody was going to be there. If I knew, I probably would have stopped by. But yeah, I was already there for 2 nights. I had a 2-hour drive back. I was fucking tired.
Wait. Well, when did you get there? What day did you get there?
I live in South Carolina, so I'm only an hour and 45 away from Charlotte.
Oh damn! I should have hit you up. Shit, I was
I
by
know.
myself.
I know. That's why I said if I knew you were there, I probably would have stopped by.
Oh, you didn't bring your lady, Pete? You just rode solo dolo?
Yeah, I just went by
I
myself.
think you brought your lady with you. Okay.
Yeah, she wanted to come, and then yeah.
I was there Thursday night until Saturday morning. I left Saturday afternoon.
There was a lot of people. Jay from BK was gonna be there, then he bailed. I don't know if you guys know Dawn. She's like a big Nets fan. She was at the game sitting a couple rows behind me. I didn't even know.
Yeah, I think she's trying to do like a travel to each stadium type of thing.
Yeah, she has 3 stadiums left. She's been to every arena except for I think San Antonio, Detroit, and Memphis.
Wow.
I've been to 2 of those 3. I only haven't been to Memphis. I've been to San Antonio.
The only stadiums I've been to is not for Nets games. I guess when I was younger, MSG, Philly, Brooklyn, Jersey, Charlotte. Those are the only ones that I've been to. I hate traveling. I can't do planes.
As a kid, my dad would always for Christmas buy me a ticket to a Nets game. My brother and my dad are Knicks fans. They get Knicks tickets. And then we'd go to the Nets game. But we always went to the game in Jersey because it was like half the price of going to the Garden. But I've been to games at the Garden. The Garden's cool, but I don't think I've ever been to a Knicks Nets game at the Garden. Always either the Meadowlands or the Barclays. I don't think I've ever been to a Knicks Nets game at the Garden. What's that vibe like?
Super expensive.
Yeah, it was. Especially when I used to play in Jersey, it was a pain in the ass to get to. The game in the Meadowlands was literally half the price. Mark says family didn't comply with the investigation. You could smell the payoff, and that's why they didn't proceed with pressing charges. You can rape my underage daughter for the right amount of money. This is a fallen society, guys. Society has failed.
They have. At the same time, too, though, again,
we live in a fallen society.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, again, at the same time, met at a nightclub, probably assumed she was 18.
Understood.
She consented to it. So it's like, it's been proven there are people out there who will go for athletes so they can sleep with them, try and get pregnant with them, or get money out of them and accuse them of something. This is not new. Like, there's people who genuinely do that.
Society has failed. It hasn't just failed in one aspect. Society has failed in general.
Yeah, look at Israel Adesanya, the UFC fighter. He dated this girl for like 1.5 years, never got married, never proposed to her, and she's like, "I want half of your belongings." She took him to court, and she lost.
Yikes!
People are money hungry. That's why
This
I
is
don't.
why
That's
it's
why I
good
don't
to
believe
not be
anything until
famous
the
sometimes.
investigations are over, because the accusations are always going to sound horrible, and then it comes out half the time that it wasn't true.
Yeah, but a lot of times it comes out it wasn't true, unfortunately. All right, let me get back to this, Pete. Let me ask you. The Nets originally, when I had scheduled this, I thought this was going to be a big game. The Nets and the Bulls were going to be in a battle for that last playing spot, and was it going to be a takeoff? Were they going to try to win? Now it's kind of written in stone. The Nets aren't making the play-in. They're 5 games out or so, and the game is kind of meaningless at this point. If you're the Nets, is it still a must-lose game? And are you trying to win any games moving forward, or what's your plan for tonight and then just the 15 games left after this?
Oh man, you know what I'm gonna say, right? It's not a must-lose, but we really would like to lose all these games. I'm not even focusing on Chicago right now. Let's look at Toronto. Let's look at Philadelphia. We're basically tied with them. And any loss here or there could really make a big difference on a draft slot going forward. I put a tweet out yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this. Toronto has to play Philadelphia 2 more times, Charlotte 2 more times, and I forgot. I think another team. I think it was New Orleans 2 more times. That's going to be a big, big play right there for us to move down. A game against Chicago, we need to lose this game. But if we do win, it's not the worst thing in the world. We still have a little bit of time, but really, there's only 17 games left. Like, if you're going to tank, now's the time to do it.
Could have been a lot earlier, my friend. That's for sure.
I want to agree with. There's a couple of things I want to address before we move on. So here's what Pete's talking about. Here's the Raptors schedule from here on out, right? And they have the same record as us, basically. At Utah, at Portland, at Phoenix, at Golden State, San Antonio, at Washington, at Brooklyn, Charlotte, Philly, Chicago, Portland, Detroit, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Dallas, San Antonio. They're going to win games by accident here. They're going to end up passing us in wins. Like, just because look how many games they have against other tanking teams. When you're playing other tanking teams, it's a 50-50 kind of scenario, right? Like, and I don't know, is Phoenix going to be tanking at that point? What does Phoenix do? Because they're terrible and they're not getting into the play-in. So, I mean, they got a lot of games left against tanking teams. So Toronto's going to pass us. The other thing I wanted to, so it really becomes down to 5th or 6th. Are we drafting ahead of Philly or behind Philly? Philly has all the reason in the world to tank. If they finish in the top 6, they keep their pick. If they don't, it goes to Oklahoma City. Do you see it? I mean, we can't move anywhere other than 5th or 6th in reality, correct, right?
But we could, like, if we went on a 5-game winning streak, right? But if we had to just take a guess, yes, it's probably going to be 5 or 6. Toronto, you're right. Toronto's probably going to be ahead of us, and Philadelphia are the tank masters right now. I feel like they really go out of their way to lose games. That's what I'm really concerned about. Do you guys think we could even get caught up to New Orleans? It's only 2 games, but I feel like it's like a big 2 games.
That's what I want to ask about, right? Because Zion right now is playing like one of the best players. I don't know if you guys are watching. I love Zion, so I watch every game he plays. I try to. He's playing like one of the best players in the league right now. And they may win games just because he's dominating. I don't think he cares. He's not going to be there next year, I don't think. Like, he's playing for his future, and he doesn't care if New Orleans gets Cooper Flagg to replace him. It's a possibility with the way he's playing that they can win some games. John, Dylan, what do you guys think?
Yeah, listen, I said this to you, Gary. If we ever entertain the Zion stuff, I need to see him be healthy for the remaining months of the season, the games, and just show what he could do. He's had 2 triple-doubles this season since he's come back from his long injury. That's very impressive. It's just he has to be consistent and be healthy and be focused. So if he's doing all those things because he wants out of that team so badly, okay, good on Zion. But I think I want to see a bigger sample size. If he doesn't go anywhere this summer, if he does really good to start of next season, and by the trade deadline he's doing really well, that might be the time for a team like us to maybe strike on him if his value is very up by then. But at the end of the day, I don't know if they're going to catch up to us. As long as we're out of the play-in, I feel good about our odds. Philly, they're finally, they've been so bad this whole season, so now they're really great at being bad. But I would say the Raptors, even if they win all these games, they've been probably the most strategic tanking team this season. Have your franchise guy, knew you weren't winning against the top teams, so you try to get a top 2 pick. You got Brandon Ingram to be a 3rd guy, I guess. So the Raptors, if they even win some of these games and don't even get in the play-in, they probably should be one of those teams getting a top pick this year just because they handled it pretty much better than a lot of other teams did. 76ers, they shouldn't get Jack Diddley shit right now. They shouldn't even get a gift card to the Cheesecake Factory. They're supposed to be a contender this season, and now they're bottoming out because they hope to get a Cooper Flagg to bail them out. You have 2 guys with $300 million. If I'm the NBA owners, why would I want to give this team a top pick right now? They're in financial hell times 10. They shouldn't get anything. If that pick goes to OKC, great for our odds because we definitely could get in the top 6 if Philly can't get in that top 6. So if Philly's pick goes to OKC, that would actually better our odds hell of a lot more if that's how it all happens.
Dylan, any chance that New Orleans can catch us, or however you want to look at that? New Orleans can finish with more wins than we do. Any chance in reality that happens?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Us catching New Orleans or New Orleans catching us, however you want to view that. Is there any real possibility with the way that Zion is playing that New Orleans could catch us and we could finish with a worse record than New Orleans.
No, New Orleans is smart. They'll get to within a game and a half of us, and then they'll sit everybody for the rest of the season. They'll blame Zion for being fat, and they'll say Trey Murphy needs like a random surgery to fix a non-surgery needed procedure. Like they'll figure it out. They're not gonna fuck around and mess it up though.
Here's my issue, and we you guys can handle this. I don't really know where Pete stands on this, but I think the entire point of having a lottery is to rig it. And we talk about how to replace the lottery. The NBA doesn't want to replace it. It likes having a lottery because it can rig it. The NBA has given New Orleans the number 1 pick twice. Both times they gave them the big prize, AD and Zion. Both times they failed to do anything with it. I think the NBA lottery is rigged. So I'm saying, like, why would the NBA give them the trifecta when they've proven they can't do anything with the prize, right? I don't think New Orleans is going to get a very high pick because the NBA tried that twice and it didn't work.
Well, remember, let me just cut in 1 second, then I'll let whoever wants to go. Remember, if I don't believe in the whole, like, it's a sham thing, but I will say this. It was interesting when they got Zion, they were trying to sell the team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whatever you think about that.
And they got the number 1 pick. And this is my point. Dylan, I know that you think the NBA, you're with me. You're more the conspiratorial side. You think the NBA lottery is rigged. If it is rigged, they rigged it twice for New Orleans, and New Orleans has been able to do nothing with it. Why would they give him another Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey again? Right? So I kind of think like the NBA has had it with New Orleans. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm in the position as of right now where I believe Flagg and Harper are the only two that'll go 1 and 2. Like, that's guaranteed. I think depending on the team that lands the 3rd pick, they're going to go VJ over Ace, because realistically, New Orleans doesn't need an ace. They have Herb and they have Zion and they have Trey. Toronto doesn't need an ace. They have RJ as of right now still. They have Scotty. They have Ingram. Charlotte, they have Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges. They don't need an ace. So there's about 3 or 4 teams that I could see that take VJ at 3 over Ace. But we'll see. I think the least New Orleans will go down to is they'll stay at 4 in terms of lottery night. I just don't see them getting a top 3 pick. I don't see it happening.
Yep.
I think it's
Gary. I want to ask
realistically. Yeah.
My bad, Dylan.
Go ahead.
I want to
you're
ask
good.
Dylan a question. I want to pick his brain on this. I'm looking, if we are going to say that this is like a scam, right?
Mhm.
The Nets are far away from contending. I'm looking at all these teams. I see Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. What if Philadelphia winds up getting the 1st overall pick or 2nd overall pick? Where do you think they would go with that?
That would just show
Flagg
that
and
it's rigged.
Harper automatically?
I was going to say, if there is a world where either team of Houston, San Antonio, or Philly lands in the top 3, it's rigged. We know it. There's no reason that any of those 3 teams should be in the top 3.
But player-wise, what do you think before I let Gary go?
If Philly gets number 1, who do they go? They go Flagg. Without a doubt, they need a power forward.
Gotcha.
That's why kind of my issue with, like, is Cooper Flagg a power forward? Look, I wasn't that high on Cooper Flagg, as high as others were when the season started. I've watched him a lot now recently, and every game I like him a little bit more. Like, okay, now I see why people think of him the way they do. But is he a power forward? Like, is he a legitimate 4, or is he more of a big 3? At this point,
I think he can play both. I think it's very similar to like a KD LeBron type of thing. Like he'll probably start off his career at the 3, but as he puts on size and gets a little bit more mature, which he already is for his age in terms of basketball IQ, but even more in the NBA, I think he'll transition into the 4 because he's currently 6'9". Tatum came into the league at 6'8". He's now 6'10 and a half, 6'11". So there's room for him to still grow to where he would mold more as a power forward. But I definitely can see it just depends on the team that gets him. I think I personally always think a guy who's around that like 6'7" through 6'10" mark would probably play better as a 3. But the NBA has also transitioned into small ball. So a lot of these guys like LeBron and KD have transitioned into 4s. So it's going to just depend on what the team scheme is and how the coaching staff views it. But he can play 3 or 4.
All right, John, I want to start with you on this next topic. We've talked about tanking. this is, I guess, the NBA coming down on Utah. Utah got fined $100,000 for not playing Lauri Markkanen. $100,000 to a franchise that's worth billions. If this is coming down on them, why wouldn't you tank? Like, I mean, this is nothing. This is like finding a millionaire $100. It's like, okay, well, this doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like giving a speeding ticket to Donald Trump. It's like, well, this doesn't really do anything to me. Let's continue to speed. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this $100,000 for tanking an NBA game. I mean, if honestly, if this is why wouldn't you tank? Like, this is not a deterrent at all.
You know what's hilarious? Now it's a problem. Lauri Markkanen has had more injury designations than he's played games this year. And now you want to crack on him with like less than 2 to 3 weeks to go. Okay, NBA, I guess you want to make a statement there. But at the end of this is why I think the Nets should have just rested vest this year. At the end of the day, we weren't gonna be a top team at all this year. So take the fines, rest the guys. Like Pete said, you want to have the best odds possible, even if they're 2 to 3% percentage more points. You want to be in the best position possible. It's our first year being in the lottery. We don't have the records that Washington does, Pelicans do, some of these other teams that have tanked repeatedly have gotten almost nothing except maybe one good pick out of the deal. This is our first time ever doing it. So wouldn't you want to put yourself in the best position possible? So 56 odds gives us a great shot of getting a top pick. But yeah, like the NBA, listen, you want to crack down on Utah Jazz? They've been doing this all year.
You're not cracking down on them, though, Judge. $100,000 to a multi-billion-dollar organization. It's not even a rounding error. They're never even going to know that money's gone. It's
chump change, like you said, and that's why I'm surprised Brooklyn has been so like back and forth of, oh, we want to compete this year for something, we want to lose the next day, we want to be competitive. Like at the end of the day, you're the fourth richest organization in the NBA right now. I don't think you should have a problem paying fines, but I guess Joe and Sean want to keep their money in their wallet, I guess, any way possible. So that could be a conversation for another time. But yeah, this is not a big deal out of this. Utah, they want to get a top lottery pick this year. They've done a lot. They traded away Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell for Hall. So Danny Ainge made a lot of side deals this year. So they're trying to put themselves in the best position possible to get a top 3 pick this year, and they might actually do it. So I don't think there's no skin off their bones. But the NBA, keep it fair. Keep it fair, though.
Joke. This is like
no, I understand.
$100,000. When I read, the NBA cracked down on the Utah Jazz, I was like, oh, let me see. And I was $100,000. I keep reading, like, what else? Did they lose their pick? Like, what if they do it again? They're out of the lot. Like, what happened? It's like, oh, just $100,000. Let me bring Dylan in. Dylan, let me ask you a question. You're an NBA owner. You're a billionaire with an organization that you own a $1 billion NBA franchise, and I say, you can have Cooper Flagg still, but I'm going to fine you $100,000. Would you make that deal?
Fine me $3.5 million. Fine me whatever you want. I don't give a shit if you. I don't give a shit if you were to take all. Yeah, take all $70 million of the Nets cap space potentially this offseason. Sure, I don't care. Give me Flagg.
They tanked an NBA game. If that's what you're saying, that's a serious accusation. And obviously they did. They've been doing it all season. But then legitimately crack down on them. If I was the NBA months ago, I would have said, here's the rule. Here's your warning. If you tank another NBA game, you're out of the lottery. You draft 14. Understood? Don't do it again.
Can I cut in your guy for 1 second?
Fine? Come on, Pete. Let me hear from you, Pete.
All right, this is the problem with what you just said. What a lot of people don't know is that the commissioner is hired by the owners, right? So the commissioner is like, like the lawmakers, but you're the person who's, hiring the lawmaker. So it's like, well, if you're going to go hard on me, then you're not going to be commissioner. So they're basically making their own rules. And you guys are absolutely right. 100K is nothing. I do think it might go up the second and third time. Don't quote me on that. But nothing's going to happen. It's for show. It's for show.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Am I supposed to look at this and be like, oh, okay, this is going to prevent the Nets from tanking, or this is going to prevent Philly from tanking? You've been tanking all season, and the penalty is $100,000?
Well, put it this way, right?
Let me ask you a question. If you were a multimillionaire worth $100 million and you got a speeding ticket for $100, is that really going to stop you from speeding if you really want to speed?
No.
That's what this is. This is nothing. This is not going to stop anyone from doing anything.
It's not, it's not meant to stop them. It's just for show.
You're clearly, yeah.
So put it this way, right? Dallas during the 2023 Wemby draft class, they got fined $750,000 for tanking. because they got hurt. There was some issues, so they just started resting players and purposely losing. They got fined $750,000. They were at the time when they got suspended or they got fined. It looked like they were projected like the 7th odds. They ended up finishing 10th, and they got the 10th pick. So usually when those things happen, the team does get punished on draft lottery night, which is why, again, I say it's rigged, because whatever they want to do is what they're going to get out of it. That's like the same thing with Spurs getting Wemby. It's the same thing last year being a horrible draft class. Who did you give the number 1 pick to? A team that was so far away from getting the number 1 pick that it doesn't even matter because the player is not that impactful. Like there's just the lottery system itself has been rigged numerous times. LeBron going to the Cavs being one of them. With Utah getting fined, though, I genuinely don't see them landing top 3. Like that's what I see out of it. Because numerous times in the past, when a team gets fined, they usually drop in their pick, or they stay at the pick that they're projected at. Dallas being the last one that this happened
to. John, if it were me, if I was a commissioner of the NBA, I would say, here's your warning. Here's a substantial fine, $2 million fine. You do it again, you're out of the lottery, you draft 14. You do it again, you forfeit your pick after that. Is that crazy?
That would be if you change up the rules. You'd probably have to have a voting process.
You're making a mockery of my association. Right. What am I supposed to turn a blind eye to it?
Right. But Gary, this is the problem. You have a NBA Players Association with the owners. That's what makes this thing so damn messy. If the owners start being over authoritarian with them, the players are going to cause a stink and not want to play. So it's a tricky balance. But I would say that you have to treat everybody fairly. Look at Philly this year. How many games did Embiid miss because of injury management? They talked about managing his minutes, him playing, some games here or there and having rest days. This guy missed over a month of action with what they was calling injury management. It wasn't, this guy needs to have season-ending surgery. They should have been getting fined because they lied to the NBA about this guy's true diagnosis. Meanwhile, poor George was getting full of tranquilizer darts to play on the court. So they're a team that should have been getting fined a lot. So you got to keep it fair. Like if you're gonna tax them, Utah Jazz finally should tax the other teams that would take cheats here and there. But the NBA owners don't want to piss off the NBA Players Association. That's a problem when you have two types of ownership in this NBA. You have the players who want their say, and you want the owners who actually want to have their say, but they don't want to, step on some big toes, and that could lead to potential to players not want to show up to play. So it's a messy situation, no matter how you look at it. But this is why you have balance in different sports. You have the owners, you have the players, you have everybody who does their jobs. The NBA, though, it's a lot messier because the players sometimes try to act like they're the ones that own the NBA, and that's a potential problem.
John, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the players do not have any power whatsoever. It's really
Kevin
sad.
Durant had power when he wanted what the team.
Hold on. I think the problem though with this whole the NBA, you're making a mockery of my organization by tanking, but at the same time you're making a mockery of the teams that actually suck, that you shit the bed out of getting them a top 3 pick every fucking year. Like realistically, no other sport does a lottery. Every year, the worst team in a sport gets the top pick because it actually helps them long term.
Well, yeah, because in no other sport does one guy impact a franchise so much. I mean, maybe you can name a couple of quarterbacks, Brady or Manning, but if you get a star, if you get a stud, it changes your organization. That doesn't happen.
That's my point, and that's why I'm saying, like from an NBA owner and GM standpoint, why would you not want to tank? You're not putting me in the best position to get a top pick. Like Washington sucks. Washington's gotten shit on for decades. They are one of the worst, if not the worst, organization in basketball since the 2000s. Like they just suck, and they've never been handed anything outside of John Wall.
Well, I mean, John Wall. You all remember that, right? You all enough to remember how hyped John Wall was. John Wall was supposed to be like the best point guard in basketball when he came out.
My point is look what happened. They got John Wall and Bradley Beal, and they made the playoffs.
They did. They were, yeah.
They
made the second round once, right?
But that's my reason.
They okay.
If you're a horrible organization and you're not landing a top 3 pick, the lottery is rigged. Like they should be dropping. If they're going to keep the lottery, they need to drop the minimums of what a team can drop down to. Like if you're the worst overall team in basketball, you shouldn't be able to drop more than 3. Right?
Well,
if you're 2, you shouldn't be able to drop more than 5.
The entire point of the lottery, the only point in having a lottery is to rig it.
It's to
That's
rig
the
it,
only reason
yeah.
he would have it. Like, why else? Give me one other reason why you just wouldn't say the worst team gets the first, like football or baseball. The worst team gets the first pick, the second worst team gets the second pick, and so on and so forth. What's the point of having this lottery? The only purpose
That's my point.
is to put the players, you know,
in the markets that you want to, yeah.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying, like, if Philly, Houston, or San Antonio lands in the top 3 this year, it's rigged, and it's proving it again.
The NBA
Philly's
used
doing
to have
their
a
best to
policy
do it.
that if you played within 50 miles of an NBA franchise, that team had the first right of refusal. They did that so the Nets could get Bill Bradley, who was like the greatest college player ever. He didn't really work out that much in the NBA, but not good. But like, he went to Princeton. They wanted him on the Knicks because he was great, right, in college. He averaged like 35 points a game in college. So they made this rule that if you play within 50 miles of an NBA franchise, you can go to that team. It's like, the NBA is always.
So that was like they called it territorial rights.
Yeah, territorial. Thank you, Pete. Like, it's crazy. Like, this is like it's so silly. Like, if you did that now, right? Like, so anyone who plays for Carolina or Duke could just go to the Hornets. Like, you know, like, it's over.
That's what I'm saying. Like, realistically, as of right now, if I had to make any form of prediction on who the top 3 teams are going to be, just based on the way that the lottery usually works, I would probably say Charlotte, one of Philly, Houston, or San Antonio, and then either Brooklyn or Toronto. Like, that's probably what you're going to see in the top 3. You're not going to see Washington because they're going to get screwed out of everything like always. They'll probably land 4 or 5, which I don't agree with. They suck. Utah, they just got fined. They're going to get penalized for it. You know, Chicago refuses to actually move off of players and actually try and rebuild. They're not going to get rewarded for anything. It's just like Portland. Maybe they'll try and fuck around and put Portland in the top 3 because they're doing so well at not tanking. Like, who knows? But I definitely see Charlotte in there. I definitely see one of Philly, Houston, or San Antonio because it's rigged, and then one of either Toronto or Brooklyn.
Philly shouldn't even be anywhere near the top 3. Like, that would be an NBA PR nightmare. You have 2 guys who are injury prone, make $300 million. You want to bring a Cooper Flag onto that team to bail them out, and if the worst case scenario happens where Embiid has to retire, you get rid of George. Maxey Cooper's your future. Like, you should give it to teams that actually have cap space flexibility and don't have that type of baggage on their books right now. That would be a PR disaster if they rig it like that for Philly. Philly shouldn't deserve a pick just because they didn't do well this year. They're supposed to be a contending team. They should get the 6th pick at worst.
Pete, I want your take on this. I mean, your feeling on the NBA lottery system, is it a little fugazi or you think it's on the up and up?
All right. So I'm going to do a little history lesson very quickly. The reason why the lottery was put into place, you had the Hakeem Olajuwon draft where there was Houston, and I believe the Bulls in particular were really tanking. And the whole idea of the lottery was, listen, if you're going to tank, and okay, you can finish last, but that doesn't mean you're going to get the first overall pick, right? It's supposed to be a punishment. But I agree with you guys in that I think it's gone way too far in that you're punishing teams that were already going to be bad also. And teams are still going to tank because they'll go back to what I say. Okay, maybe we won't get the first overall pick, but we're going to give ourselves the best chance to get the first overall pick.
Here's a question I want to ask too: is why do we reward bad behavior? Like, you're gonna tank, you're gonna be terrible, so your reward for being terrible is I give you Cooper Flag. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we reward bad behavior? Why not let Cooper Flag go to a good team, or at least not the worst team in the NBA? Like, why not do it the opposite?
Because it would create imbalance.
Yeah, but like, we've seen it doesn't create balance. Like, the bad teams stay bad and the good teams stay good. Like, the Celtics stay good, the Lakers stay good, the Hornets and the Wizards and typically the Knicks stay trash.
Well, you look at an example like Cleveland, right? Like they never won shit until LeBron came. But I think the teams that you mentioned are like the kind of historical teams, and they're always going to be good for some reason or another. But you know, we've gotten good players like a John Morant going to the Grizzlies, right? Instead of going to the Lakers. That creates some balance. But the thing is, you might have a Zion that goes to New Orleans where you think it's going to be, okay, it's going to create balance in the league. We got a superstar in New Orleans, and then it doesn't work out. And then Nate's saying that Flag just got hurt. I don't know.
What?
Is that real or not? That would suck if that's true.
I would just.
Wait, what? He's playing right now?
I don't know that. Yeah,
Is-
that's a
is
little
Duke-
off.
Is Duke
I'm
on
gonna
now?
Google it.
Yeah, no, Duke is on right now.
Oh no.
No, what happened with
They
Cooper
are
Flag?
playing.
All right, like guys, I mean, that doesn't mean he tore his Achilles. Like, I mean, what's the date? What do we know what the injury is? Did it look bad?
Yo,
No,
he's out for
I'm
the
going-
year. He's out for the year.
Wait, where did
No.
you
Really?
see that?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Oh,
Yo,
I was gonna say, how the
Pete,
fuck do they
yo,
diagnose that shit so
Pete,
quickly?
unless you want an Angry Johnny documentary, man, cease and desist, my brother.
I don't know. It says he only has 2 points, and it's almost at halftime. So that means that's
All right.
not good. Something happened.
Man,
Nate
if
said he
I'm
rolled
trying
his
to find the
ankle, so
video.
It's an
Hold on.
ankle sprain. It's something that's.
if it's an ankle sprain, that's nothing.
Okay,
That's
we
nothing.
good then. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
okay.
I mean,
Thank
it
God.
sucks if he misses the tournament. Like, an ankle sprain can be bad, guys. Like, an
Oh,
ankle
but
sprain can
wait,
be-
no, that's a nasty one though. He went fully up for a rebound and landed on some dude's foot, and his whole ankle went sideways. That's a
That's
nasty.
what I'm
No.
saying. They could not, and
Put
there's
up the
nothing you
video.
can do for it. Like, there's, I mean, ankle sprain
Here,
could be
Gary, I'm
you're
gonna
back in the second half, or it could be
Here.
you're out a month. You know,
Gary,
like,
Gary,
there's
I
not
just
much-
sent you the video. If you want to pull it up on the screen.
Guys, this is some graphic warning content, so
I-
just
I,
be careful
DM'd
what
it to
you
you.
see here.
On Twitter.
If
It's
I'm
not
Cooper
gonna look good.
Flag, if the injury's that bad, I'm not playing again. I'm
Yeah,
going
no.
to the
so-
NBA. I don't
Man.
Yeah, I know.
This, Pete's right. This is done all the time in college football, right? Like, I'm not playing anymore.
This is
I don't
exactly what
care.
happened with Zion. He blew out his
Yeah.
shoe, ended up having a partial tear in his meniscus, and then he didn't play in any further after that.
That's wild. I mean, does Dylan Harper now become the number one guy just because now he's the
No.
most healthiest?
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
Not one bit.
No, I wouldn't see it either. I don't think it's going to be horrible. As long as he didn't break nothing, he should be okay.
Even if he did, ankles are usually somewhat easier to repair than most things. So,
All right,
Yeah.
let's see.
except for mine, mine's
yeah.
fucked. Yeah, you got to back it up a bit.
Up his defenses to try to throw Georgia Tech off balance.
Outside, Mustaf got a really good look. Won't drop in for him.
Ooh.
Grabbing at his
I was
left ankle
catching
area
rebounds.
as he went down after the rebound.
Come on. That's some BS, man.
Oh my!
This is an ankle
Those
sprain.
non-contact
Gets
injuries
up.
are the scariest, for real.
And needs help.
Why are they playing a game before 1
Obi,
o'clock?
this just went from
Well,
That's a good
it's the
question,
tournament.
Pete.
They got to play all the games today.
Oh, it's the tournament, right?
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
that
that
it?
looks like
Or
a-
it's froze?
he leaped 14 feet in the air.
I feel
It looks like a bad ankle sprain, right? Like, that's not a good reaction, right? But it's an ankle sprain. He could miss the tournament, and that sucks. But it's not going to affect him long term, right? Like, it's not going to be a lingering injury. It's not going to put him out next season. It's an ankle sprain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's not going to hurt him next year. It just sucks that, like I said, an ankle sprain. I don't know. Maybe they ice it and he's fine tomorrow, or maybe he's out a month. It's really hard to tell with ankle sprains. Like, how severe is it? It looked bad. It didn't look good, but you know,
right.
If you're him, would you even come back though? I feel like, I just saw my life flash ahead of me.
He's prideful. I mean, there's already talks that he wants to go back to Duke because of how much he loves it and wants to win a national championship. Like, he has the mentality to where he would do that. But realistically, if the option is in his hands, he's not going to sit out. He'll come back at some point.
Yeah, and it's only March, so this is probably the best chance to have an injury, whereas you have all this time now to recuperate. But he's not going to go back to college. He's going to be the number one pick this year. All those shoe deals, those TV deals, he's probably going to sign just by being the number one pick. He's not going to turn that down. He's not going to turn that down, man. He's going to get extra money based off whatever rookie salary he gets. This guy's going to get more money than I think most of these prospects that get drafted after him. So he's not turning that down for a second year in college. No.
Nate's right. A ligament can still tear on an ankle sprain. And remember, Joe Harris basically missed an entire season with an ankle sprain. You know, like an ankle sprain could be a nasty injury.
That led to him retiring, actually. So yeah, that's a
Well,
little scary.
I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, it's just a sprain and he's fine, and it's just swollen and hurts like hell, and he'll be fine by the tournament. But you know, that didn't look good. Like Kyrie's ankle sprain against Milwaukee, like that looked bad. Like everyone was saying he was going to be back if they beat him. It's like if they beat Milwaukee. It's like, are you sure? How do you know that? Like that, his ankle was sideways. How do you know he's just fine? Like, how do you know? Because 15 years ago, Kobe played on an ankle sprain. That means anyone, you know what I'm saying? It's like ankle sprains can be nasty.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I think Cooper had a great year. I think he proved a lot of doubters wrong. Everybody's like, can this guy really be a number one pick with not a solid offensive game? He dropped 40 points in Duke. He set a record. Like, he was consistent all season, led all the categories. So if this is the end of his college season,
Yeah, you
Duke
let every
definitely got a
major
special
category.
treat. He did great this year. I know people worry about the offensive stuff. Look at what else he can do. He's a jack of all trades. And I'll say this. I think defensively, our coaching staff has the best defensive system for Cooper Flagg out of all the other lottery teams right now. You've seen with Jordy this year. He can establish defensive identity. And if you want to develop an offensive identity, you need to look at what your strengths are. And Cooper has shown you he's a solid defender. So we fit with all the top three prospects. You know, Harper being our point guard of the future, Ace being our scorer of the future. Like, all three of the guys fit our system, as opposed to some other teams where you don't know if they're going to fit their systems. At least with us, there is a little guarantee that they're going to fit a certain part of our team with their
John,
skill set.
I was gonna say 1 second, Gary, and then I'll let you go. Very quick. You know what the problem is, John? The reason why we could say that everyone fits in our system and on our team is because we have no talent, basically.
Yes. Call it what it is. We don't have the talent. We've said this all year, Pete, me and Gary on the show. Said all year. That's why I'm so upset at this organization to take such a lackadaisical, like, backward stance on this team this year. You allow the vets to play closing minutes. When you're trying to get a top pick, you don't play Cam Johnson, D'Lo at the end of the game. You rest them towards that and let the young guys fend for themselves to see if they can earn a spot on this team. But for most of the season, the vets have been playing and boosting up their stat pads. And I hope that doesn't bite us in the ass. But if it does, me and Gary are going to show you all the evidence that we've come up with why that hurt us. So I hope it works out for us. But this organization really put us in a 50-50 situation by not tanking effectively.
Considerably a
All right.
55-45 situation.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to address two things real quickly before we move on to what players, the college portion of the show. Pete, Dylan, I didn't get your takes on this. Me and John spent some time on this yesterday. I think we're going to have contrasting views here, so I want to hear a debate. D'Angelo Russell really wants to be back next year. The reason is the fans love him here, and the Nets have cap space, right? That's obviously the reasons why he wants back. Is there a scenario in which you guys would want D'Lo back in a Brooklyn Nets uniform next year? I'll let you guys.
Pete, you want to start or should I go?
You can go first, Dylan.
I got one word. No. That's it. Nope. Thanks for coming back. I don't want to repeat the 2018-19 stuff again. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'll just step in now because Gary left. I talked to Gary, I think a couple weeks ago, and I was like high on the D'Lo supply. And I was like, Gary, man, I don't know. I think he might want to come back, or I think he's going to, they might bring him back. But then, I kind of calmed myself down a little bit. And I'm like, it would be a great story, but I'm leaning towards what Dylan said. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, if we were an organization that had championships and success and hierarchy, sure, having a cool story is a great thing. But when you've done nothing and you have nothing going for you currently until you draft these players and hit on these draft picks, just fucking keep it moving. Like, I'm so tired of the vibes and this cutesy family oriented thing. Like, just fucking get what you need and then worry about that shit later. Get me some dogs.
And the nostalgia train. I agree with you on that. I talked with Gary yesterday. I said, why we keep going back into the Spencer Dinwiddie and D'Lo stuff of 2018? That was when we had 0 picks. Now you have over 31 picks. We're in the future of trying to actually create a new identity for this team. You keep going back into the past. And I know it's economic revenue, familiar faces, but we got to get away from that. You got to invest in new talent that actually could lead you somewhere. D'Lo, if you bring him back on a 1-year, $13 million deal to be a mentor, okay. Anything more than that, if he gets an $18 to $20 million contract, it's because Sean Marks got duped again by another guy on this team. Marks has to take the emotion out of it. D'Lo is not an alpha that he was 4 or 5 years ago. He made a lot of money playing with star talent, and he couldn't hang with those guys, especially in the playoffs. So if you bring him back, it has to be a $12 or $13 million deal. Anything more than that, what are we doing at this point keeping him? And we're paying him extra money just because we need his veteran leadership skills so badly? No, we don't. If we get a Dylan Harper or a Jeremiah Fears in this draft, sign our D'Lo or bring him back for $10 million, and that's it. But anything other than that, I feel like it's a distraction for us at this point.
There's only one way I could see this happening, is if we completely go shot in the draft for a point guard,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden we're looking around and there's not too many guys that you really would want, and then it's like, oh, he'll come back on a 1-year deal, and that's really the only scenario I could see.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. A 1-year deal. I guess 12 or 13 is reasonable. I wouldn't even give him that much, right? Like, I mean, what? I love D'Lo. I have his jersey. He's one of my 10 favorite Nets of all time. He really is. But what's his function on this team? Like, why is he? No one's ever been able to answer me why D'Lo is on this team and playing. Like, why is he here? Other than the fans kind of like him.
Well, they need a point guard. Unless you want to reach Beekman every night.
Why didn't you just play Killian Hayes then? Like, Killian Hayes may have had a few.
Exactly.
I mean, he didn't. Why not just play Hayes and see what the hell it looks like? You know what I'm saying? Like, we know what D'Lo is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like D'Lo's trying out for anything. Why not just let Killian Hayes play the point, and then beyond that, let Cam Thomas run the point? Let's see how that looks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gary, you got your DMs open, by the way.
Oh, let me close that.
Just in case it's on the news or anything, you don't want that getting leaked.
All right. I wanted to touch on one other thing.
Okay.
Dylan, did you weigh in on this? I had to take a leak.
Yeah, my one-word answer was no.
Okay.
Cut the bullshit, nostalgia. Get him out. I don't care about the whole family-oriented, cool stories and vibes that this organization has pathetically continued for so long. Get me some dogs, draft some stars, use your draft capital, fill up the roster with young talent, shoot for a superstar when the time's right. But until then, I don't care about the stories and the bullshit. We're not like the example I use is if it was the Lakers and it was like Kobe had left for a year or two and then they wanted to bring him back for a retirement tour. Yeah, they can do that because they've done something in this league. We haven't. So until then, I don't give a shit about all the little cutesy side stuff that they like to try and do for media purposes. Just build me the proper team. That's all I care about.
Well, 1 year the Nets went 42-40 and won a playoff game. So that kind of was like the same thing as Kobe, right? Like 1 year we made the playoffs.
The fact that losing in the first round is our championship to me is still it's just so disheartening. Because I'm a Yankees and Steelers fan. Like I at least know what winning is like with those two. It's just oh my god, it's so frustrating. Because there's actually fans out there that truly think like, oh, we made the playoffs. This is like stand up now and face the sun. Fucking Pat Beverly throwing a jersey into the stands after making the play-in. Like it's not. Losing the first round of the playoffs is just there's nothing cool about it whatsoever.
Especially when you get swept in back-to-back years. That ain't nothing right about it.
Just lose at that point and rebuild.
Yo, this post made me go wild yesterday.
I want to address this in the heist of the century. Mikal Bridges, who's known for being the Iron Man, who's known for playing every game, is now complaining to Thibodeau, who overplays all of his guys, and that's what he's known for playing too many minutes. Guys, this trade is literally a crime in Italy. If you do this in Italy, if you try to make a trade like this in Italy, they throw you in jail for theft. That's how bad this trade is. And it looks worse now that Mikal Bridges is shown to be a role player, and now he's complaining that he has to play basketball too many minutes. Well, this is what you wanted. You wanted to go to the Knicks and play for Thibodeau. This is what Thibodeau does. I mean,
breaking news: Flag was taken back to the locker room on a wheelchair.
Oh no!
It's a sprain. It's a sprain ankle. It could be torn ligaments, but Nate makes a good point. None of the top three prospects, the big three, are going to play in the NCAA tournament. That is not good for NCAA basketball. That's not good for college basketball.
No. Now it's up to NBA to boost them up somehow. So do what you gotta do.
But like I said, this is literally a crime in Italy. This trade. This is a worse offense than drinking a cappuccino after 11 a.m., which is absolutely not allowed under any circumstance. I've learned. I don't know why, but my mom still screams at me. No, you can't have a cappuccino after 11. Can I have an espresso? Yeah. Can I have a cappuccino? No. Why not? Because it's after 11. All right. Okay. No cappuccino after 11 in Italy. But
can I get it? Can I play devil's advocate here for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we all agree that the price of those draft picks was immense. Nets got a great deal on it. But if the Knicks win a championship, it's all worth it.
Definitely
listen, They play Detroit in round 1. If it stays how it is now, they play Detroit in round 1, then the Celtics. They could beat the Celtics. It's not going to be good for us.
They ain't gonna do it.
It's a
They
big
ain't
if,
gonna do
but
it.
that's, it's scary.
If
Scary.
they beat the Celtics, after they beat the Celtics, me and you can jump on my magical unicorn and fly it to the moon. I mean, it's the Celtics, Pete. Like, I don't even hate
I
the
know.
Knicks.
I
like
agree.
them.
You know what's hilarious about this whole segment? Let's go back in time a bit. That fateful Bucks game when Bridges was on our team the second year, they load managed a bunch of guys. And before that, we were like, 13-10? And they managed his minutes. They rested him after the first quarter. Ever since that moment, this guy wanted to go play with his Knicks buddies. He wanted to go play more minutes because his little Iron Man streak was in danger on our team because we were low managing his minutes. He played a lot of games that year, but that was what was hurting our team. He was out there just playing, being the king of cardio. Now you go to the Knicks team where they expect you to be a third or fourth option, and now you want to call out the coach without even talking to him? We all know Thibs is a military sergeant. He plays this guy too many minutes, but you don't talk to the coach about your issues. You talk to the media, and you say, "Oh, Thibs is stuck in his ways, but we had a very productive meeting." You just threw him under the bus. You know why? Because Bridges, he knows it's either him or me, and I'm going to throw him under the bus. What Bridges didn't talk about is the fact that he's 0-9 this year against the top teams. His defense, which he was brought in for, has been atrocious. It looks like a G Leaguer out there against Boston, OKC, and the Cavs, throwing up 2-point performances. That's your fault, Midkel. You wanted a big role. You said you don't run away from challenges. What this guy has shown us on both New York teams, and this is where Knicks fans and Nets fans should come together, this dude is not a New York player. He doesn't embody grit. He doesn't embody culture. And he's not a man of character. This guy's willing to duck, go sideways when he's unhappy. This guy's an emoji player. When he's playing great, he's playing great. When he's playing bad, oh my gosh. This guy's having issues and frustrations. Grow up, Midkel. You were brought on both New York teams to be a top piece, and you couldn't handle both roles. So if you want to go back to a six-man role, damn, Knicks, you really lost this trade badly. If this guy wants to go back to his son's role.
I want to weigh in on a couple of things here. King Ribby makes, and I've mentioned this trade before, Bridges and Cat for Giannis in the offseason. If that move is made, that's not a bad haul, John. That's not a bad haul. I don't think they'll do it because it doesn't really fit a rebuild time frame. But that trade did get done. Then the Bridges trade works out for the Knicks, right? Because you basically traded 6 first-rounders for Giannis, which is a win. I guess. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
would you do that if you're Milwaukee? Would you do that deal?
I got to see what else is out
there. They want
that,
draft capital.
Probably not.
They want assets.
I'll be right back.
It depends on what I'm trying to do. Probably not, right? But if they did, let's just live in that world for a minute. Milwaukee examined the market and said, "This is the best value. We're still going to try to win." I get Bridges and Cat to pair with Dame.
I hate it. I already got Brooke Lopez on a cheap, probably 1-year deal.
I don't think it would happen. I've talked about this trade before. You know.
You know what the funny thing is? He says, "I want the bench to play." There is no bench. You have Cameron Payne, Precious Achiuwa, and Miles McBride. That's your bench. So he's saying, "I trust our bench to help us out." Dude, because of you and Cat, they can't get a bench. So this guy doesn't even know how bad his bench is this year. I think they're the least amount of points out of all the top playoff teams in bench production. So this guy is all over the damn place with his complaints with his team. Listen, the Knicks
don't play, John. That's why.
No, the Knicks are in a lose-lose situation. This guy was brought in to play elite defense, and against all the top teams, they're 0-9. And I'll throw OG Anunoby in this too. He got $40 million a year against all the top teams this year. His defense has been just as horrible as this guy's defense. So the two guys that are supposed to anchor them this year are what is holding them down. So there's no easy way out of this for them this year. They have no draft assets, and the Bucks are not going to take Towns for Giannis without getting 6 picks in the deal. They're not going to pull off a Luka special. The Bucks want draft capital. The Knicks are in no position to do that.
I don't think this trade gets done.
Yep.
And I agree with John. If Milwaukee trades Giannis, they're not going to try to win with other players. They're going to rebuild. I agree. So they would want draft picks. I agree with all that.
They're 110% rebuilding because they wanted Cam Thomas. I was going to say Milwaukee, if they move Giannis, is 100% rebuilding because, again, you can put 2 and 2 together when the conversations of Giannis potentially being available were coming out. They said that they didn't want to trade him. So that's why they got put out that they were interested in DFS. But if you also looked in the article, it also said they were interested in Cam Thomas. That's pretty much them saying either we want to help Giannis win and keep him, or we want to get young pieces that we can build around with draft capital. There's no in-betweens. You're not going to get Giannis for less than 5 first-round picks, and you're not going to get him for anything less than probably Nick Claxton, Cam Thomas, and another young player. So stay the course. It's not hard.
Yeah, they're in a lose-lose situation, and Bridges is due for $185 million this summer. Once he signs that deal, the Knicks are screwed. So if they're trying to have buyer's remorse, a little too late. You went all in on him, Towns, and OG. You're stuck with it. Deal with it, and if you can't deal with it,
$19 million for Josh Hart.
Yeah, Josh Hart, and he too said at the beginning of the year, I don't know what my role is.
Question, right? Because you made a point earlier, Pete, and I'm not really going to rebuttal. I just want to ask, see if you're being consistent here. You said if the Knicks win a championship, it's worth it. The Pistons drafted 2nd overall and took Darko Milicic. They won a championship that year. Was that a good draft pick?
It's not about being consistent with that, because that's a different sort of thing. You're talking about being drafted with someone, and you're making a trade.
Let me make my point. I'll
right?
rebut my point. Let me make my point. My
Go
point
ahead.
is, if the Knicks win a championship, Bridges is their 5th best player. It had very little to do with Bridges. That's what I'm saying. Just like
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point. He would have to contribute, right? Even if he was like, I don't know, he gets like a game-winning shot in NBA Finals Game 2 that changes the momentum, right? If he winds up sitting on the bench, then it's obviously that's a fair point, Gary. That's fair.
I appreciate that. That was what I was like. Yeah, and they can still look. If the Knicks win a championship, it's because Brunson's what Kobe Mamba mentality and dropped 40 points every night like he did last year. Cat was doing 30 and 15. OG was doing 20 and shutting down your best player, and then Hart was grabbing 20 rebounds a game. That's how you beat the Celtics. Bridges is an afterthought at that point.
Let me ask you a question, Gary. What if Mikal Bridges winds up becoming big shot Robert Horry type of thing, right? He's maybe like invisible for most of the game, but then he hits the big shots. And you know what? Maybe he doesn't put up 20 points a game in the playoffs, but he hits big shots. And they wind up winning 1 chip. Would you say that's worth it? I think I would.
Yeah,
even if he doesn't, let's say he's hurt for the rest of the contract, I would still say it's worth it.
If he wins 1 chip with the Knicks as a contributing piece, it's worth it. Like that's how important the Knicks to win a chip.
You know what's hilarious? His best highlights this year have been a 50-point piece against 40-year-old Chris Paul on Christmas Day and last night against Portland. They went to overtime. Yes, Bridges got the game-winning shot, but damn, you barely beat out that team in overtime with a buzzer-beater shot. This team is in a lot of trouble because they went all in on these guys, and there's no way out of it. So I think the window is this year and next year, and after that, it gets a little murky, especially if you re-sign Bridges to a $185 million contract. There is no out for this team. Either play with what you got, or you just blow it up.
They can't give Bridges that contract. I know it sucks. You traded away 6 draft picks for a 2-year rental.
Give him the contract.
You can't give him that contract. You're not.
They have to. I think they get rid of Josh Hart.
Yeah, but Hart does more defensive effort than Bridges does, though, Pete, this year. That's the crazy thing.
Nate's a great basketball mind. He really is. Nate, if you're still in the chat, who's a more important piece right now, Hart or Bridges? Be honest. It's Hart, bro. Hart is way more valuable than the Knicks right now.
I know, but it's the optics of giving up those picks and then you let him walk. You have to trade him for something then. You have to. Imagine if you imagine he's going to – Leon Rose would get killed.
You got to trade it for 2 protected first round.
But Pete, if you had to choose between Thibs and Bridges, who you keeping though, Pete? Because I know Thibs is a military sergeant, but without Thibs, they're not a competitive team at all. But with Bridges this year, he's whining and complaining, been all up and down the place, and now he wants to get lesser minutes. He wants his sons rolled back before he turns 30. Who are you keeping, Thibs or Bridges right now? Who's the bigger complaining?
Guys, it's almost like getting Paul Pierce and then letting him go after 1 year.
That's the point, Ribby. Hart's here. OG's here. The only guy who's not here long term is Bridges. So now, what money are you going to give to Bridges? You're going to have to trade Hart. You're going to have to start dumping salary if you want to keep Bridges to that deal. That's the point, Ribby. Like, you've made your bed. You have to give him the money, I guess. I don't know. If you trade him at this point, what are you getting for him? You're going to look ridiculous. If you let him walk at this point, right? If you 2 years up and you let him walk, you're going to look ridiculous. So if you give him the money, you're going to look ridiculous. If you give him 6 years, $185 million, it's like, oh God, right? Like, that's a horrible contract. there's no winning here for the Knicks. The only winning here is, like Pete said, you win a championship for the next 2 years, and he hits some key shots. Other than that, you don't look good in this.
Seriously. Like, this deal couldn't have worked out any more perfectly for the Brooklyn Nets. And you just see with Bridges, his attitude's all over the place. When he's playing great, the vibes are great. But when he's playing bad, this dude is like an emotional basket case. Like, oh, I don't want to play anymore on this team. I want to play with my Knicks buddies. Oh, Coach Tibbs make me play too much. How ironic is that?
King Gibby, why are you watching, bro?
He doesn't know basketball. He doesn't know basketball, Pete. It's all good. He doesn't watch his own team that much.
All your hate. I love it.
Yeah, listen, haters are our motivators, Pete. You know, that's all I gotta say at the end. I had the same guy yesterday do the same crap to me. It's all good. It's all good. I'm smiling. I'm smiling. But yeah, this deal couldn't work out any better for us right now. And now the Knicks are stuck to deal with that guy. But man, to throw your coach on the bus like that, we're even talking to him, that takes some coyones right there, that's for sure.
I just don't know what Knicks fans thought they were getting in Bridges. Did they think they were getting a boy?
Oh no, come on. I got to defend Knicks fans here. They thought they were getting the guy who was a number one for like the secondary team in the market, right? They figure if he could be a number one with the Nets, and they're like, if he can come to us and be like a good number 3 option, like we're lit. All he has to do is play defense and hit open threes. And
I would understand that if he did that.
Corner threes.
I would understand that if he was. I would understand that if they traded for him the offseason that we first got him, like the half season that he played with us. I would understand that mentality for them. But they got to watch a full year of him as the number 1 option, in which he wasn't even the number 1 option. Cam Thomas.
Right. And we still got 6
He was horrible.
He didn't have a point guard though last year, really, right?
But when you're supposed to be the number 1, you should be able to put the ball on the floor. You should be able to do your own thing. And he was doing that prior to last season. He was doing that the last 27, 30 games that he played with us, including the playoffs against Philly. So, like, it's not like he wasn't able to create those things on his own. He just completely abandoned the mid-range game. And this is the problem with so many players in basketball. Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum did it for a little bit. When you abandon the mid-range, which is your most efficient shot, and you resort to taking 8 to 12 threes
guys,
a game,
I'll be right back.
You're going to suck.
I'll be right back.
But that's my thing. Like Mikal last season was strictly just fucking dribble up and throw something up and hope it goes in. He was not doing anything special whatsoever. So for Knicks fans to be like, oh, we were expecting first option Bridges, get the fuck out of here. And the guy's
never been a first option. The guy had 27 magical games. Remember when Devin Booker Paul went down injury? He finally got to be a starter. Everybody's like, whoa, this guy should be the future of the team. Oh, we traded him to the Nets, and we thought the same thing. But no, like this couldn't have happened any better for us. He had a horrible year with us. We still got 6 first round picks for the guy. Woo!
The only way that the Nets Knicks trade is a failure for the Nets specifically is if 2 of those picks don't land in the lottery or those picks aren't used for a superstar. That's the only way it fails for us. The Knicks can win a championship, and I'm not losing any sleep over it. Because who gives a shit? You're not going to be able to afford it for much longer, and we have your future. You're going to have to blow it up at some point. Windows don't last 7 years when you trade for your whole team and you re-sign all of them. That doesn't happen. So to me, congratulations if you win. Like that doesn't hurt my feelings. I don't have any hatred towards Knicks fans, and like the whole Knicks Nets rivalry thing to me is a joke because neither team has been good at the same time as one another. The last time we played in the playoffs was what? The late 90s?
No, we played the Nets and the Knicks. We played them in 04. We swept them.
Oh, okay. My point. So it's been 20 years since there was even actually a rivalry like game, right? It's not even like
the Nets that long ago to me. I know that Dylan, like that's the year he was born, right?
Yeah, I was 3 years old. Yeah, I was 3 years old. Yeah,
you guys want to hear something crazy? You want to hear something crazy? So get this: against the best teams, they're 0-9 this year, right? They've been getting blown out. Us against the best teams, we've lost by lesser deficits than the Knicks have with way lesser talent. We actually beat the Lakers, so we have a better winning record against the top 9 teams than the Knicks do right now.
But who gives a shit? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like people with the mindset, yeah, but it's also pathetic. It's like who gives a fuck about the Knicks? Care about your own team. Right now, our team sucks and we're in a shitty position because our GM refused to actually invest in a tank, actually invest in getting more draft capital. Like, let's focus on our own shit. Who gives a shit what the Knicks do? It's the Knicks. Who cares? Like, there's no rivalry to me. The only team that I have a rivalry with is the entire city of Boston. I hate Boston. Every sport.
I
Cannot
don't hate
stand
the
them.
Knicks. I hate Boston. I agree with him. I
Yeah,
hate Boston
I don't give a
way more
shit.
than I hate the Knicks.
Yeah, same. Like, I don't care about the Knicks. That's like me as a Steelers fan. That's like me being like, oh, I care about the Giants. Like Giants and Jets fans that argue with one another is like throwing a trash can that's on fire to somebody who's holding a trash can with shit in it. Like, it's literal. You both suck. Who cares? It's the Knicks and the Nets. We both suck. Right? The Knicks are good right now, but they're not going to accomplish anything. And even if they do, congratulations.
Yeah,
You
but
win
I
one
feel
within
like
25
Knicks
years.
fans are like Cowboy fans. Like they don't understand that their team sucks. I don't think.
I'd say the equivalent to Cowboys fans in the NBA is probably
Lakers.
76ers. I'd say probably the 76ers.
the
'cause-
Lakers
no,
won
'cause-
championships.
'cause the Lakers
Cowboys
won.
haven't been good in 30 years. It's like,
But that's what I'm
you
saying. Like
guys-
the Lakers won one, and they've won four in the last 25 years. Like they've won. The Cowboys haven't won since the 80s or the 70s. So it's like that's the 76ers. The 76ers haven't done dick. They made a finals once and they lost. Like
I want to get into the draft real quick. I got about 15 minutes left.
let's do it.
We all agree at this point. Cooper Flagg 1, Dylan Harper 2.
Mhm.
Right? We're okay. 3 was supposed to be also automatic, but Dylan disagrees. Dylan says VJ has surpassed Ace, and it would be VJ 3 and Ace 4. John, Pete, anyone want to push back on that at all?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we're kind of saying now that Harper will be going too, because everybody thought it was going to be Cooper, Ace, and Harper, but Harper had a really great first half of the season where he was the number one scoring option on all the draft prospects. So that definitely has given him a lot of leeway as far as being a second overall pick this year, and he definitely earned it. So if he gets to second, it's because he earned it. So now that makes things very interesting for a guy like Ace, who probably needs the most development out of those two who are more game ready than him. But now with Edgecombe, I would say the only scenario I see that making sense, like you said, Dylan, is the Hornets, because they already have Brandon Miller. So if there are teams that are in this lottery, they already have their forward, it kind of goes like, why should we get Ace? So he could be the 3. You have 2 forwards of the team. That probably doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. So a guy like Edgecombe would make sense as a scoring athletic option for a team like the Hornets. So yeah, I definitely think that scenario makes sense. Other scenarios, I could see Ace still going 3, just because it would be crazy if that guy drops any more than 4 at the very worst. Because
so
the overall
I'll give you my
potential
lottery
is
pick board.
pretty
I'll
good.
just do my top 14 picks in the order that I think that they're best available. I'm not saying that this is where they're going to get drafted. This is just me personally saying this is the best player available at that selection. Cooper Flagg at 1, Harper at 2, Edgecombe at 3, Ace at 4, Jeremiah Fears at 5, Trey Johnson at 6, Kaman Malawak at 7, Kasparis at 8, Con Kneppel at 9, Austin Newell at 10, Liam McNeil
Stop
at
right
11.
there. Stop right there. Let's do top 10. Like I don't want to
Let's
go.
do it.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds. Let's stop at the top 10. All right. So we talked about 3 and 4, and 5. You had Fears over Trey Johnson and Kasparis and Malawak, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Why do you have Fears so high ahead of the?
Fears has shown over the past month that he's a dog. He's on the same trajectory in terms of hype, in terms of draft riser as John Morant did. Morant was a nobody at Murray State, and he lit up the scene and was able to go 2nd overall. Fears isn't going 2nd overall. I doubt he even goes 3rd, but there's a real chance that he goes over 5. Trey Johnson, you're going to start seeing the slippage like Cam Thomas had. Cam Thomas was the best scorer in basketball, but fell to 27 because he had nothing else to his game. Trey Johnson's a little bit better.
I'm a Trey Johnson supporter.
Mhm.
If we win, Dylan, if the Nets beat A&M today, are we in the tournament?
I don't know specifically, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I know.
Trey Johnson is 6'6". To me, the NBA comp for Trey Johnson is Tyler Hero.
See, I don't see the playmaking to that.
Yeah,
like Hero can put up the 5 to 7
ball, but he doesn't
assists.
really have vision. He can't really create.
Yeah, like Trey Johnson last night had 19 points, a rebound, and an assist. Like that's just, to me, that's not NBA level. You've got the scoring like Cam Thomas did, which is why I'm saying Johnson at 6'6" is more valuable than Thomas at 6'4", just because they each have a very similar sense of scoring. But again, the rebounding and the playmaking is a problem. If you got guys like Jeremiah Fears, Kaman Malawak, Kasparis, shit, even if there's a team at like OKC at 7 or 8, they can go Con Kneppel before they go Trey Johnson. Like, Trey's going to be one of those guys that slips probably, simply because the main aspect to his game is scoring. And that's not a hard thing to find. It's the rest of the tools that you have within your game that are more valuable than scoring.
How come the Nets can't find any scoring? It was so easy to find.
We have our score. He's played 23 games this season.
Cam Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like realistically to me, trading Trey Johnson is like when you shit yourself and you change your shirt. Why get the same? Like, what's the point of it? You're not fixing anything. You know, you're just adding a 2-inch taller version of Cam Thomas that you now need to sit there and develop the rest of his game again for 5 years, like we've currently done with Cam Thomas. Go build the rest of the team.
Let me ask you two other questions. Two other guys I want your take on compared to number 5, right? So you told me why you like him better than Trey Johnson. Fine.
Yeah.
I can see your argument. As far as upside though, John, you got to help me with the name. Common
Maluak.
Okay. I'm never.
Come on, Maluak. Come on. There you go.
To me,
So like
if
me
we're
off it.
just looking at upside, who could be a star in this draft after the top 3 names? This is the next name to me. He's 7'2", 7. So why am I taking Jeremiah Fears over Maluak when Maluak has the upside?
So how I based it is just how they're playing throughout the season, the value that they've brought to their team, and their upside, right? So Jeremiah Fears is on Oklahoma, who they have nobody, and they're a borderline March Madness team right now. They're balling the hell out, right? Similar to Ace and Harper. They each have the high upside. They each have the stats to prove for it, but they played for Rutgers, and as 2 of the top 3 players in the nation, they couldn't even have an above 500 record. Why? Because they didn't have the rest of the team around them. So that, it depends on Maluak only plays like 20 minutes a night. He's on like a conditionings limit because he's not built yet to play those 25, 35-minute games. So to me, he's the rawest prospect next to Ace, but it's not going to matter because there's going to be teams that probably need more talent than they do a raw prospect. Like Maluak, to me, Toronto, Charlotte, and OKC are like the 3 main teams that I could see him going to, if not Chicago. So since you were gone for a second, the only 4 teams that I see taking him between 5 through 9 is Chicago, Charlotte, Toronto.
I'm just asking for the big boy, right? Like if you rank him on the big boy,
for big
right?
board purposes, I rank it based on team success, the value that you brought to your team, the stats, and the upside. So those 4 things is what I'm basing it on. And to me, Fears is more valuable currently than Maluak is.
I know, John, you like Maluak. You guys want to push back on this, or do you more or less agree with what Dylan is saying?
I'm not too educated on him, so I'll let John go. But I want to get a VJ talk in there after this.
I don't like VJ, so if you want to cook VJ, please feel free.
Yeah. Listen, I think Fears has definitely risen up his stock. I call this nickname the Lightning Bolt because he literally rose up out of nowhere to become a really top player in this college draft. So he arguably is the second best point guard. I know Trey Johnson is the best bucket scorer, but what do we need on this team right now? We need a point guard. So, and if you get Trey Johnson, him and Thomas, I know some of the Thomas fans don't want to admit it, but they could be a little competition there between who could be the real future of this team. We just don't know Thomas's future. So if you get Trey Johnson, they could be one of those guys potentially being an asset as opposed to a future cornerstone. So I think getting Jeremiah Fears would be interesting for us.
That we need a point guard, John. I agree with you. Our team is garbage. Like, I'm not. Yes, we need a point guard, 100%. You said what's the biggest need? I'd agree, point guard.
Fears can score though too, Gary.
Our team is garbage. Look at our roster, bro. What we need is a good basketball player. Who's the best basketball player out there? Let's just take him at number 7.
The best current basketball player that'll be in the ranges between 5 through 7, like we're likely to get. I would say Fears is better than Maluak and Johnson. Yeah, because I'm gonna show you right now, right? Johnson's averaging 20 points, 3 rebounds, and just under 3 assists a game. Right, his per 36 though is 21 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So practically the same because he plays 34 minutes a night already. If you do Jeremiah Fears, though, he is currently averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. His per 36, though, is 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So if you're looking at the advanced metrics, he is the better player on paper. But he's also leading his team to more success.
Right. That's it. Right. If you take Trey Johnson off Texas and you take Fears off Oklahoma, Texas has a much better team. Much better. Yes. And Oklahoma's winning more. So I get, as far as impacting winning, at least at this level, it's a no-brainer. Fears has impacted winning way more than Trey Johnson has.
Definitely. You guys want to hear a scouting report on Fears that a scout told me from last month?
Let's hear it.
This is what I was asking about him because, like John said, he just kind of rose up. I didn't know about him. So I was like, can you tell me about him? And this is a quote for quote. Really creative and dynamic ball handler who could use the screen to score and pass. Decently athletic, more speed than Pop, but gets to his spots. 3-point could be better, but I like the shot he takes and the looks he creates. It's actually the catch and shoot that needs to get better because I like him off the dribble. Also, the most important thing about him is that he's super young, reclassified to play in college a year earlier than expected.
So yeah, in terms of upside, in terms of upside, he's just like in terms of upside, based on the talent that he's shown on the college level, he's right up there with Ace and Malawak because he's just as young. Yeah.
Yeah, and he plays the position right, and that's my worry with Trey Johnson Thomas. I know, Gary, you want Thomas to get run at the point. He did get run the other game. His scoring came out, but his playmaking, like if he has to be the point guard of this team, he's going to want to score first. And if you get Johnson, he's going to want to score first. We're still going to need a point guard, I think, even if you get Trey Johnson. So at least if you get Fears, him and Thomas are at the one of the two, locked in right there. And you see what they can do together. We need roster balance. I know getting the best player matters a lot, but you also want a balanced roster. We haven't had that for 8 years under this current organization. It'd be nice if we could actually have players play their position, not they have to convert or they have to play a position that they can't play. That's my big kickback on getting Trey Johnson, is I feel like we're still going to be out of position, even if you have two dynamic scorers on the team. At least with Jeremiah Fears or Dylan Harper, you could play him with Thomas, and there's more balance there. So I think that should play a factor for sure in this draft with us.
If you want my Tyler Hero comparison, it's Kasparis. Kasparis isn't maybe as good of a college scorer as Hero was, but he's got the current day rebounding and playmaking to his game already at 6'6". So I know you guys have more questions. I'm not going to go on long tangents, so you guys can hit me with what's next. But I wanted to, because you mentioned the name Hero, so I just wanted to give you who I thought was like a similar.
Really selling me on Fears. Like Dylan, I think Fears should hire you as his agent. Like he was not. I'm now kind of putting him at 4. I don't love VJ like you guys do.
Okay.
I have VJ.
Why'd you like VJ, Gary? He's been playing better lately.
I don't think he's got a bag. I don't think like what I see is based solely on and I've watched him a fair amount. Like I'm in Texas. I've watched him a good amount. I don't see a real in-depth offensive skill set. I don't see a guy that can get in the mid-range and score. Like who can I see a guy who can blow past you. If he can't blow past you, I don't really see
I think this is the interesting that I see with Edgecombe, right? Because again, I'm looking at his stats, so hopefully I sell you on him as well. He's currently averaging 15 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 2.1 steals per game on 44% shooting, 35% from three. His per 36, though, so he plays 32.5 minutes a night. His per 36 is
35% from three. Is he really?
Yep.
He's been getting better at it.
He's
been getting better.
He started. I would understand your assessment based on the first 12, 13 games of the season for him because he looked like shit.
I watched him a lot.
He looked horrible.
He was bad beginning of the season.
His past 10 games, though, he looks like a solidified stud. His per 36 currently is 17 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.4 steals per game, right? So the thing with him is, yes, the offense needs a little bit of work in terms of consistency, but he's just as talented defensively. Like if you're talking about at his position, talent on defense, he's what Flag is as a wing. Like he is an incredible defender as a guard. So that's where I kind of see that like Anthony Edwards, Russell Westbrook comparison.
Baby Ant-Man, man.
Athletic, but he can also defend at a really high caliber. And it's not like he can't play make too. He does it very well.
And he's a hard worker. I mean, he definitely puts a lot of work into his frame and trying to get better. I mean, you've seen a progression. That's the thing I like about Edgecombe. You saw a progression in this college. He started out really bad, like you said, but he started picking up the tempo. The rebounding got better. The defense got better. He really has 3-level type tool potential. I think the one thing he needs a really good coaching staff, because if you put all that together, you get a top starter of your future. But if you don't, to Gary's worries, you kind of get a guy that can be athletic, but can he do anything else? That's what's going to really depend on the coaching staff he ends up with. But if he ends up with a great coaching staff like ours, I think you could see Edgecombe hit his stride on this team. He's got that potential.
Also I've been dying to get my Edgecombe talking here.
Let's go, Pete.
Real quick, Pete.
I was one of the first. Hopefully, you guys remember. I just want to take credit. I was one of the first people in on Edgecombe because I liked the way that he was playing in the Bahamas for I think it was the FIBA tournament. A lot of people forget. And he's a kid playing against men, played very well over there, right? Mm-hmm. I was very big on him. And then I had someone talk to me, and they're really concerned about his height. And I want to see what Dylan thinks about that. Like they said,
Well,
Dwayne
real
Wade
quickly
was
before I
short,
even get to
right?
that,
Very
they show
explosive. What do you think about that?
they show advanced they show advanced stats on Tankathon. His NBA 3-point percentage is 36%. He's shooting 35.3 in college. So like that's a good sign to me. But if you're looking at his height as an issue, how's Cam Thomas not an issue? Like to me, Westbrook is 6'4". Some people thought he was 6'5" at one point. That's what VJ is. He's around that 6'4.5", 6'5" mark. Anthony Edwards is only 6'5", 6'6". To me, the
I heard
height's
he's
not the
like
issue.
6'4" with
Yeah,
with shoes. Like he's actually closer to like 6'3", maybe. I had one person tell me 6'2".
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
they have
well,
him listed on here at 6'5". We'll get the answer to that once the combine comes around. 'Cause
Yeah,
they
that's going to
do
be
official weight.
interesting.
They do official heights
great. The
there,
great
yeah.
thing is Edgecombe has athletic explosion. So what he lacks a little bit in height, he makes up for. Is he could jump to the hoop and that's something Thomas can't do. So if we get Edgecombe, I think he's a great project because he has all the tools. It's putting it all together as a professional NBA player. And I think this coaching staff has shown they can work on players' weaknesses. Look at Zaire Williams. 3-point shooting was a weakness for him this year. He's shooting over 51% since January. So whatever weaknesses this kid has, I think they can be worked on, and he can be a better player on this team if he lands with us. There's there's a lot of good optimism there for Edgecombe if he comes to us.
All right. Let me get back to Dylan. We spent some time on VJ. The other guy that I like a lot is Asa Noel. I guess you're gonna say because he played really well. Yes, I know they lost to Oklahoma, but he played really well. I like him a lot. Nate turned me on to him. He said, "You got to watch Asa Noel." What up, Nate? VJ is this year's Emmanuel Mudiay. Why am I taking Fears over us? And I know he's projected to go much higher. I saw Noel going around 9 or 10.
I was gonna say, yeah, I got him ranked 9 through 12.
Why am I taking Fears over Noel, who's a 6'9", 6'10", 3-4 kind of combo? Is he too similar to Clowney, or why am I taking
Well,
Fears
just name
over?
me the last time a skinny, tall forward has done anything for an organization.
Kevin Durant.
And he's not Kevin Durant. So that's my thing, right? Unless if you're, and that's again Ace Bailey, right? He's a similar version of Kevin Durant in terms of college play, but to me, it's not even close.
Tracy McGrady came in the league as a skinny 6'8" small forward, right? And they bulked him up over time.
But again, they all had the athleticism, they all had the shooting aspect to their game. They all had the offensive ability.
Yeah.
He doesn't, right? His offensive ability is solid, but it's more of a inside the arc player. I'm looking at his stats right now. His per 36 is 19 points, 8.5 rebounds, but only 29% from 3. So it's like there's room for improvement on it, yes, but at the same time, it's like, again, it's like shitting your pants and changing your shirt. Why not fix the problem, which is you have a young guy in Noah Clowney, you have a young guy in Cam Thomas. Stay the fuck away from those two positions. Or if you're going to draft those two positions, don't
Cam
make it the
Thomas
same player.
Long-term? Do we have Cam? I love Cam Thomas. I don't think he's
I agree that he's probably not here long term. I agree that he's not here probably long term, but at the same time, why are we replacing a player with certain problems with the same exact player, but maybe a little taller with these same exact problems, just so this way we have to continue rebuilding further? Build the rest of the team, right? Go grab your point guard, go grab your center, go grab your wing, and then trade the guys who can't develop to their fullest, like a Cam Thomas, like a Nick Claxton, for a superstar at the position that you need. Like, to me, it's clear as day. And the thing is, as well, this isn't the draft to draft wings. If you don't get Flag or Ace, to me, I don't like the wings in this class. I would go with more veteran wings. Rasheer Fleming, Ado Thiaro. I would wait until the second round when you can get younger guys with higher upside. Ding Pate, Drake Powell. Like, there's other guys out there that you can get who will be role players, similar to what I expect a lot of these guys in the first round at the wing position to be, which are role players. I don't see Asa Noel being anything close to a star. I don't see Hugo Gonzalez being anything close to a star. Like, there's not a lot of wing depth in this one. So to me, focus on the positives of this draft class, which is if you don't land Flag or Ace, go with your guard, go with your center, and draft some veteran wings. Like, and when I say veteran wings, I just mean guys in college who played 3-4 years. Draft those guys because you can immediately plug them in. They could be good veteran presences for your young guys, and you can rebuild that way. Because again, the younger you are as a team, the more you lose. So that'll put us in position next year to bottom out for a class that's top 4 is so heavy on wings. Darren Peterson, 6'5", he can play the 1 or the 2. Cam Boozer, 6'10", 6'11", plays the 4. AJ DeBansta plays the 3, 6'9". Noah Ament, he's like 6'8" through 6'10", somewhere in that range. Plays the 3 and the 4. That's the class you go for the wing. Caleb Wilson, Caleb Gaskins. Like there's other guys in that class as well that play the 3 through 4 that you can get who are much better than these guys this year.
Nate wants Kentucky sharpshooter Kobe Bria in second round. 50-year transfer from Dayton. He does.
I'm sorry.
He does remind me of Cam Johnson. Like, what's his NBA comp? Cam Johnson.
See, the only person, the problem is with how high our pick is in the second round. Again, I'm taking a high upside guy. I'm not taking an old person. Like I'm not taking an older college player. The only way that I would do that is if it's maybe for a guy like RJ Lewis Jr., who's a junior at St. John's. He's
Johnny
balling out.
Bloom.
Johnny,
What
well,
about
Johnny
Johnny
Bloom.
Bloom? I like Johnny Bloom, bro.
I have him projected. It's a high projection just because it's really hard to mark where he could go. Talent-wise, if you add it with the age, he should be around 22 through 26, but I have him projected around 27 through 33. So I either have
his age, right?
Yeah, it's all about and that's the problem, right? Because Rasheer Fleming, in all honesty, if you're looking at Tankathon's odds, Rasheer Fleming's better than Austin Newell. He's better than Noah Esengwu. He's better than Liam McNeely. He's better than Colin Murray Boyles. But because he's a junior, he's likely to go just outside the lottery, right? Because it's all about the upside. It's all about how much you can mold a player in the NBA. When you have guys who you've already seen grow to pretty much the maximum, they're already set in their ways as a basketball player. They already have their IQs built based on where they played. You're not really going to be able to develop too much out of them moving further. So
I agree with what you're saying as far as the Nets are concerned, right? Like you want the Nets, but if I was the Knicks, for example,
you take
an interesting pick to me because he could be a plug and play guy. I know he's not going to be an all-star. I understand that, but I could use him. Like he would have a niche on my team. But for the Nets, you just want to roll the dice on good players.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you're also looking like if you're around that range for them, like if we're just talking Knicks specifically, I'm looking at like Hunter Salas out of Wake Forest, the senior guard. Stojakovic, his son, I'm looking at him. RJ Lewis, I'm looking at him. You know, there's guys out there, Tucker DeVries out of West Virginia, Peyton Sanford. These are all like 3-4 year guys. Chaz Lanier out of Tennessee. Like those are the type of guys I would look at because realistically, when you're a competing team, you don't want to add people that you can't plug in immediately because you have no time to waste. You're trying to win right now. So
Nate got an update on Cooper Flagg, by the way. He said ankle wrapped and he can stand on his own, but he's not playing.
I did see
that. At least he can stand. That's good. That's good. Rested and hope he gets better.
Are they winning that game right now, by the way? Because they were down 9 when he went out. Oh, yeah, they're up 11. Come on, Maliwak, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks. Con Kneppel, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I got to wrap,
but I want to ask one more question, and I go around the panel.
Let's do it.
Derek Queen, a guy I like a lot. This guy seems to be a lightning rod. I like Queen a lot. I would definitely have him in my top 10. I don't think you did, right? You didn't have Queen in your top 10?
Let me double check real quick. I have him at 12. In terms of talent, if I was basing it in terms of talent and how they played in college, he'd be like 8 through 10 for me. But because he's a 20-year-old freshman, again, I have no clue how. Yeah, it's fucking weird. Just because of that, and because of some of the teams that are likely to be in the ranges of 7 through 10, I don't think there's really a true need for big men in that range outside of Maliwak, and that's if he doesn't go, 5 through 7 already. So yeah, like that's really how I'm basing it off of as well, because it just really depends on the teams that are in those ranges, right? If the Bulls miss out on Maliwak and they miss out on Newell and they miss out on like a guy like Kasparis, then yeah, I could see them taking Derek Queen at like that 8 through 10 spot. But realistically, I could see a team like Houston or Dallas snagging him at 12 or 13.
I want to ask you, like, I see Maliwak. I want to take him, right? Because of the upside.
I wouldn't be upset with him. But
what's the floor on him? Like, if he doesn't work out, if he doesn't turn into like how?
To me, his exact comparison, floor and ceiling, because I can't really put like a significant ceiling on him yet, because again, he only plays like 16 to 20 minutes a game at Duke. To me, he is a Clint Capello, Mark Williams combo, but he can shoot the 3. It needs to be unlocked more. It needs to be shot with more confidence, but he has knocked down 3s. Nowhere near as bad as what Claxton was in college.
I don't see that low of a floor on the guy where I think the ceiling is worth risking. Like if I'd probably take him 5. I probably would. I'd take the top 3, Fears 4, Mayuak 5. Like that would, if you said, give me your top 5, like that would be like, I see such a upside in him. Like,
Yeah.
okay, the floor is.
My
know,
only
he's just-
problem with it is when you're looking at the team construction currently, you have a center on the roster for multiple years, whether we want him or not. You have a center that's a restricted free agent that we could bring
Claxton
back for
can't
multiple
stop
years.
us. Like if we assess
I agree.
Queen,
I agree. I'm just saying how they're probably going to think of it, right?
Yeah.
There is truly not a single point guard on the roster next year because D'Lo's expiring. I'm not counting Tyrese Martin as a point guard. He's 6'6", he's a shooting guard. Keon Johnson sucks.
point guard.
Just I don't even want to talk about him. Like realistically, there's no point guard on the roster next year. So to me, it's best wing because wings win you championships, especially when you have superstar wings, or go guard. Because to me as well, you have Janai Broom, you have Danny Wolf, you have Thomas Sorber that you can get in the 20s. And we have 3 picks in the 20s. So to me, if you really want a big man, I like Sorber's upside a ton.
I think we again with that Bucks pick. That Bucks pick falls around 17, 18. I think Tom Sorber out of that 17 to 30 bracket, he's at the top of that bracket. So
for me,
that'd be great for us.
For me, the best consolation draft, if you do not land top 3, is Jeremiah Fears, trade up for Rasheer Fleming, draft Thomas Sorber, and draft somebody in the second round, like a Ding Pate. I know his name's probably like Pate or something, but it sounds weird.
Right.
So
I got to wrap. I got to get ready for my Longhorns to lose to A&M and miss out on the tournament this year. But, you know, there's still hope. Trey Johnson going to go for 50 tonight. They got to win. And then but,
one assist, though. Only one assist.
Iverson had an NCAA tournament game where he had 40 and 0. So he turned out all right.
You're not wrong.
All right. Pete, you want to plug what you got going on again and plug your podcast?
Sure. You can follow me at NetFriends, on Twitter and YouTube. I just dropped a podcast episode today. Check it out. And thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate
no problem,
you,
Pete. And good luck in your documentary, man. It's going to be a very fun adventure, so enjoy it for sure.
Thank you.
John, Dylan, any closing words? Who wants to close this out?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. I'll take it last.
Yeah, listen, it's been a crazy roller coaster of a season, but we've covered a lot of good content. And this summer, it's going to be a very active summer in the draft. We do our cap space, and I just hope the organization is very proactive this summer because you want to set this team up in the best position possible. Looking at the draft for a lottery pick, if we miss out on the top wings, point guard or center definitely would be a good way to utilize the lottery pick. And then if you get a point guard with that lottery pick, you have a shot at getting Thomas Sorber with your Bucks pick. So we have a great shot to really set ourselves up well this summer with an actual start of a roster construction, a little core of a nucleus beginning there, and we could kind of offset some bad contracts on our books. So I feel like this summer is a chance to right the ship and for us to actually have a foundation for once. So I look forward to that. I look forward to covering some more good Brooklyn content. Let's go Brooklyn.
Oh, what time are we going to go live tomorrow, John?
12:30 tomorrow.
12:30
Yeah,
all right, Dylan, you around tomorrow?
Let me check the schedule. I got the computer open. As of right now, I'm supposed to have a 12:30, but it's not a mandatory meeting. So if my job doesn't hear me, no.
All right.
I'll be good.
How long is the meeting?
It's supposed to be an hour, but I don't think I'm going to be going to it. So
okay,
it's not a mandatory one. It's some.
We'll pencil you in. We'll race you if need to. Pete, you free tomorrow? You want to join us? I might. If I'm always free, I always come through. I'll send you a link, Pete. If you could join us, I'd love to have you.
Pete, if you want, I'm doing some draft analysis on my other channel as well. If you want to feel free and do a mock draft at some point in the next 2 weeks. I usually do them on Saturdays.
Bro, you got my number, bro. Just text me.
Will do.
All right. We good? Everyone said their piece?
Actually, yeah, real quickly, go follow CBB Draft U on Instagram. I just created the page a week and a half ago if you want your thing for all source college basketball, draft analysis, mock drafts, big boards, highlights, final scores. Shoot me a follow over there. If you want the most up-to-date, best source of all things Brooklyn Nets news on Instagram, feel free to follow me at NetsPress. Yeah, take us out.
One last thing. I got to say one last thing. Texas to the universe. Go ahead.
It's March 13th from Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
Peace.